Hey guys, this is a market update, the calm before the storm in financial markets right now. What I want to look at in this video is the thing that will send Bitcoin to a new all-time high versus the actual fundamental growth of the Bitcoin network. As an investor, what you want to be looking at is the actual fundamental growth and not monetary policy and central bank policy. We're going to have a look at all of this data here to show us, is Bitcoin actually growing as a network? That's the important thing. Because the thing that's going to send us to a new all-time high, in my opinion, isn't actually great news. This right here, central bank intervention, money printing, it's not good news. It doesn't make you wealthier. And even if the price of Bitcoin does go up, it isn't actually making you actually wealthier. It's not giving you actual returns. Because what is actual returns? It's the rise in the price of Bitcoin versus the rise in the price of other things. When debasement of currency is happening, that means asset prices rise. They're not actually going up though, are they? Because everything is going up in value. And so what you actually need to do to make money from investments is have the rate of increase in the price of the thing you're invested in, like BTC, go up faster than all of the fiat currency nonsense. So if fiat currency is getting debased 8%, all assets will be up 8%. That means they're not up at all. So is Bitcoin growing? Is Bitcoin growing? If it is, then you're actually making real returns over all of the other stuff. Let's have a look at that in this video. Bitcoin price right here. I have two prices that I've circled out in the chart. Now, last week we had this huge wipeout of OI, or open interest, one of the biggest wipeouts of open interest in Bitcoin's history, top 5, but not a massive price move. We are, in my opinion, not overdone in the price. We're not really very cheap either. We're kind of just in the middle of where the market would usually be. 20,400 right here, this lower price bound, is the average price of long-term holders. The accumulation price around 20,400. Huge support level in my opinion. 32,000 or 33,000 is the price level for one-time cyclers. So if they've been in one cycle, maybe they've accumulated near all-time highs, maybe their dollar cost average a bit lower, around 30K for short-term holders. Bitcoin is in the middles. It's around about average priced of where supply and demand should be right now. You can see where we are in the Bitcoin cycle as well. We are just exactly where we should be. We're towards the upper end of this range. So 32 was definitely the very, very top. I was still dollar cost averaging here because it's still within this range, but we've come down very nicely now. This is great for an investor just to, keep dollar cost averaging at lower prices here. Now, news events like the ETF may drop, push us higher. But for right now, we're exactly where we should be in terms of the Bitcoin cycle, supply and demand, and prices. So we are fairly priced more or less. Can go up or down 5,000 either way, pretty much on nothing apart from sentiment. But these two are showing us the kind of, where long and short-term holders are placed. Bitcoin is around fairly valued in my opinion. If you're a trader though, check out the Bybit deposit bonus up to 30K to make a deposit and trade. You can get that trading bonus, link in description for that. So let's look at the Bitcoin network before looking at how price is going to explode the next time central banks print a load of money. It will come, but it's the least interesting part for me. Bitcoin as a network, if you want to make higher returns, if you want to make actual real returns above inflation, above currency debasement, above the growth of other types of assets, how much is Bitcoin growing? So let's have a look at this. These are addresses with a balance of more than 0.1 BTC. All-time high, just under 4.5 million. So is the network growing? Yes, it's growing very fast. Now, of course, many people can have many wallets, but in a general sense, more addresses with a balance, this means more people joining the network and dollar cost averaging a little bit and taking self-custody. So this is extremely strong growth of the network. So that's the first thing. The second thing is percent supply available. The amount of Bitcoin supply actually available is essentially at an all-time low. So how much is available on exchanges to actually go ahead and buy? You see this at cyclical lows. Now what happens is the amount available to buy usually spikes up during a huge run up and a bull market and an all-time high. That's when some long-term holders, considering they maybe have made 500, 600, 700% if they were buying at lows, that is when they're incentivized to sell. And that is where you get spikes in the available supply. So you can see the bull market here, you get a spike, and then during the bear market, long-term investors still accumulating, but tourists and other traders, they're out. And so they're not going to be accumulating. the amount of supply available becomes a lot less. Then during a bull market, that spikes again. And during the last bull market, it spiked again. And we are down here. So we're not in a bull market. The tourists are not here. They're not pushing our bags up. It's not that part of the cycle. That's good news. If you actually have a few year time horizon, we are definitely not at lows in terms of the price, but the amount of supply available is pretty much, all-time lows. And so if something happens, Bitcoin can be volatile, both to the down and upside, of course, because there's just not much volatility. There's not much volume here to actually trade. And so small amounts of buying or selling pressure can actually push us around in certain ways. ETF news might be good or bad, and so just watch out for it. In terms of total supply held, around 75% of the Bitcoin supply right now is held by long-term holders. You can also see dips in this. These are bull markets. So long-term holders let Bitcoin go. When you reach the absolute crescendo of a bull market, you see people letting some go there, but then they actually start accumulating again. So you're seeing cycle traders, but the general trend for BTC is that people buy this and hold it long-term. Even despite the dips, the general trend is that supply held by long-term holders just is continuing to go to new all-time highs. So more people investing and buying BTC over time and actually using it as a savings technology over time, believing that the next time something happens with currency debasement or some sort of fiat currency chicanery happens, that Bitcoin is going to be that thing that they can hold and actually take advantage and protect themselves against that. We also see this again, long versus short-term holder threshold. During bear markets, long-term holders increase, but we are at an all-time high now. So long-term holder supply in blue continues to reach new all-time highs. Short-term holder supply has declined to cycle lows. You can see that right here. So again, during bull markets, short-term holder supply peaks. That's not where you want to be, of course. This is, latecomers who are buying BTC because the price is high. But the real value of BTC is buying it when it is low and then having that protection against whatever's happening with monetary policy. This spike in Bitcoin is actually protection against currency debasement. It's protection against dollars losing value and being debased and being created more of. And that's the pricing mechanism. The spike is protecting you from that. And so this is what people are investing in Bitcoin for now. Next time that happens, they will be protected once more. So you can see that long-term holders, the amount of supply they have is essentially at all-time highs. So Bitcoin network is strong. More and more people are using it to protect themselves against whatever's going to happen in the fiat currency, which we know usually is over time the debasement of it. The point of showing this data is that fundamentally the actual network itself is growing, and that's the investment case. As a trader, you're looking at these short-term cycles. We're in a down cycle right now. 457 days is actually one of the longest bear markets for BTC. A really bad bear market. That's because central banks are raising rates and tightening money supply. Now, the fiat system is designed to inflate. So once they have slowed the economy enough, then they are going to look at trying to inflate it again. That's how the fiat system works. And so during this time, when central bank policy is actually tight, so you're seeing the central bank balance sheet actually roll off and get smaller, risk assets don't really like that environment. But when this flips, the prices will go up. That's not actually great news. What that shows us is that the economy is weak, it's not growing as much as they would want, and they have to support the economy by debasing the currency. That's not good news. That isn't great. It also means that when asset prices go up, they're not actually going up because they're growing that much. They're going up because the denominator, the dollar, is just getting weaker and being debased. And so, of course, the price goes up. But that's not real growth. We need real growth. And there isn't anything really growing in the world as a large-scale asset like Bitcoin and ETH right now in terms of adoption and actual growth. So what do you want to be invested in? Actual growth or some sort of monetary debasement trade, which is also fine to trade, but as an investment, you actually need things that are actually growing. And, these are two of the highest growth large-scale assets I can see with Bitcoin and ETH. So real growth of anything, including a monetary asset or a network, is not going to be 200, 300, 400% a year. But as we can see over the long term, Bitcoin is growing over time. Every time it draws down is a higher high. That is the real growth of the network. That takes years to play out. That's the investment case, in my opinion. If you're a trader, check out the deposit bonus on Bybit, link in the description. Also, the Crypto Investor course, I updated this a couple of weeks ago. It has my investment strategy for the next Bitcoin cycle and research on Bitcoin and ETH and the landscape as well. So check that out by the link in the description as well. That was updated for free for existing users. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.